Hello there, Aries. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot video forecast. This forecast is for the month of August, and I'm breaking it down into two separate sections. We're going to start with the 1st through the 15th, and then after that we'll come back and we'll do the 16th through the 31st. So for the first half of August, let's just start jumping right in, Aries. The first thing that you have coming up does talk to me about your environment. And so environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. Usually it's home, but it doesn't have to be. It could also be school, work, etc. So what we have coming up is that your environment is one that I think you used to really enjoy a lot more than you do now. And lately you're kind of coming into a place of, it doesn't have the same draw that it used to have to it. All right. The next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings. And now with subconscious leanings, I think that you are looking at this idea about there's something that you started that you really are ready to move on from and move into the next thing. And I think that you are really trying to focus on how you can move into the next thing without totally abandoning and dropping this original thing that you've started. You want to leave it, I feel like you want to leave it in good hands somehow, where somebody's definitely going to take good care of it moving forward, but you want to free yourself up to move on to whatever it is next that has caught your focus or your fascination. All right. Next thing that we're looking at, Aries, talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style. I really just want to say that you're learning from the School of Hard Knocks during this particular time frame. There could be something coming up that is, a surprising shakeup that I think is going to be actually teaching you a lot and giving you some good information to have sort of in your back pocket moving forward. As far as your communication style, I do think that most of your communication during this time frame is going to be very emotional, and it's going to be centered around emotions, maybe even a combination of both of those. Next thing that I'm looking at for you, Aries, does talk to me about work. And so what I have about work is basically that you're going back. I think that you might wish that you didn't have to go back. It looks like work can make you feel depleted sometimes, but you're going back anyway. Okay, next thing that I'm looking at for you guys shows up as that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. Aries, I think you are going through a phase where you're recognizing things and people that are holding you back or that are keeping you from moving forward, dragging you down, and you're getting better at saying, no, I'm not going to do that, or no, I'm not going to participate in that. Such a short little word, but I think you guys are getting better in cutting out those things that are not helping you move forward during this time frame. So good on you for that. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about something that you stand for. So this is something that somebody has asked you to explain or maybe even confronted you about or anywhere in between there. And it looks like you have a decision that, or you did have a decision that you needed to make, that there were some options there technically, but you kind of felt like because of other people's expectations and what they wanted from you, like you didn't really have an option, like there was really only one choice available to you, and so you made that choice. Now, after you've explained this situation that you stood for, how the person that you explained this to feels is they feel like, and I feel like they have something to do with the option that you didn't choose, but they feel like they need to, I think they're going to be looking at what is the next opportunity for them, somewhere else. I don't think that they have any bad feelings. They're just kind of shaking this off, especially after your explanation. And they're looking for, okay, well, what can I get involved with? I don't know if they're looking for something else to get involved with that would involve you, or if they're just looking for some other opportunity and just looking for somebody who would be a good partner to them as they pursue that. But I feel like they are, moving on to the next opportunity after you've explained the situation to them. So, next thing that we're looking at, Aries, does talk to me about the lesson or experience as you go through this particular time frame. I do think you've got a situation going on where, there's people who are not giving back to you in the measure that you're giving out. So you're giving a lot more in a relationship, or maybe even more than one relationship as you go through this time frame. And I think what you're learning to do is, how do you deal with that? How do you cope with that? And we kind of saw a little bit of that when we looked at where your personality is growing or expanding with that, learning how to say that one little word, and oh, no, no, no. And I feel like, you are making sure that you have done everything to give an equal measure to somebody else who's given to you, but I feel like you're also doing what you need to get out of a situation where, you're giving, and the other person is taking, okay, with no giving in return. All right, so that's listener experience right now. During this time frame, there is going to be somebody who's getting on your nerves during this. I think as you're expressing to somebody, hey, if I'm going to do this for you, I expect you to do that for me. I think there might be some backlash there. And I'm being a little sarcastic when I say there might be. There's going to be some backlash there because some of those people who are used to you giving, and them taking, this is going to be a new experience for them, and they're not going to like it so much. It's not going to feel so comfortable. So they're going to be giving you a little backlash about that. At the same time that that's happening, though, I don't feel like their backlash is really stopping you or holding you back, because they still show you as healing and recovering from these situations where you were the one that was really the giver and the people around you were taking. All right, and then the last thing that we have coming up for this particular time frame does talk about this idea of really breaking yourself free. You may have been letting yourself stay in these relationships where you were the one putting in all the energy and effort, because of something that you were thinking in your mind that you thought you had to for some reason, or that you thought, well, they aren't going to be able to do okay if I'm not doing this, or whatever it is that you were thinking that had you restricted about, doing what you needed to do to sort of clear out, all those blocks of concrete that were tied to your clothes. Well, now your perspective is changing. You're getting a more healthy, more clear perspective, and you're realizing you were the only one that was holding back your forward progress just by your thinking, by your expecting other people to not be able to make it without you, or by, needing other people to need you, and so providing and giving. So you're having a breakthrough in your perspective here, which is what's actually allowing you to make this change and to come into a place where you recognize that what you do has value, and that it's perfectly normal to expect that somebody else would appreciate that value and also reciprocate that whenever you're doing for them. Okay? So that's what we have for the first half of August, Aries. I'm going to take a little break, and when I come back, we'll look at the second half. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for sticking around, Aries. Now we're going to be looking at August the 16th through the 31st. Let's just jump right in. The first thing that I'm looking at for you does talk to me about your environment. Once again, environment is that place where you have energy or effort invested. So many times home, but not always. And what I have coming up is that there are some secrets that are going on around your environment. There are things that are happening underneath the surface that you're not quite aware of just yet. Not quite aware of just yet. I think there's something fishy, you just don't know exactly what it is yet. And, by the way, that would be a great thing to get a reading on if it's something that happens to concern you. Second thing that we have showing up talks to me about your subconscious leanings. And what we have here talks about the fact that there's something that you're feeling really indecisive about. You're just not sure which to go with that. And your subconscious is working out, okay, what do I actually want to do? All right. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style. I do think that there's definitely lots and lots of information in front of you. Learning is not hard right now. It's easy to pick up new information that's all around you. But I do think there are certain things that you don't necessarily want to see. And so there's certain information that you're pretty much blocking out or just not paying attention to at this time. So there are certain things that you are refusing to learn, refusing to research or dig into. And then as far as your communication style, I do think that during this time frame, you're going to go through some times where you're not talking very much to anybody, and then we've got a time in the middle of this time frame where you're talking to quite a few people, quite a lot. And so communication is really going to be a changing personality as you go through this particular time frame, Aries. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about work, and it looks to me like there's a lot of information coming in about work, a lot of communication happening at work. There may be a lot of changes being made at work really quickly, so you may have to really stay on your toes about, what changes are being made. This could be changes to policies, changes to how things are done. This could be changes to your schedule. There's all kinds of things that this could be, but I think that you're going to have to really stay on your toes to keep on top of it all. Next thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about that part of your personality, which is growing or expanding right now. I feel like for some of you, you're just not feeling very healthy at the moment. You may not be paying a lot of attention to those things that you know you should be doing to improve your health. And so that there's usually a reason why we're doing that, some kind of distraction that's coming up. But there's something going on where health, where it was more of a priority, is becoming a little bit less. We're not taking care of it as well as we could be, is the best way to say that, okay? Now, the next thing that I have coming up talks to me about your learning style and also we've already done that, haven't we? This talks about those things that you stand for. And so there's somebody who has asked you to explain or defend that. So then the next thing we'll look at is how that person feels after you've taken a stand for this thing. So there is something going on where there's somebody or something or some activity in your life that you used to really enjoy the company of that no longer is so appealing anymore. And that's what you're trying to explain to somebody else or taking a stand for. You're defending yourself on this. And so the other person, after they walk away from that interaction with you, feels like what you're doing is you are just focusing on work. That's the most important thing to you right now is just work. You have goals that you want to reach, things that you're trying to accomplish, and so they see that you're focusing on work for this. Next thing that I'm looking at does look to me as your lesson or experience during this particular time frame. And what we have is there is going to be a point where after you've spent some time almost in seclusion, really spending some time by yourself, that you're going to be coming out and interacting with other people. And if this was just being separated from a particular person, this talks about interacting with that particular person again. And for some of you, this is talking about, just really taking some alone time and now being ready to come out and interact with the world again now that you've had that alone time. As you are coming out and interacting with people again, you're finding out that I think in a situation where you thought you were dealing with somebody who was competing against you, you're finding out that you really have no competition. Even if somebody's trying to compete against you, they can't hold a candle to you, if there's even anybody trying. You just really, for all intents and purposes here, on the table it's looking to me like you have no competition whatsoever as you're coming out and just communicating with people or with your person. At the same time, though, I do feel like there is somebody that you are having a hard time being on the same page with as you're coming out and communicating. So it may be that, somebody's giving you a hard time about taking that alone time, and so they may not understand that. But definitely coming out, feeling like being around people, and having a hard time being on the same page with everybody. So this also tells me that you've had a little bit of a perspective change when you spent that time in seclusion. You're looking at things differently than how you used to look at them. And so the same people who used to be able to collaborate with you and be your partner and be able to make plans with you and move forward with you just aren't anymore because you're not coming from the same place as they are at this point. Okay, and then the last thing that we have coming up before we close out the month for you, Aries, does talk about this idea of really digging in deep to some kind of research, and this is research that has to do with the metaphysical, has to do with what I call secrets of the universe. So anything that influences our universe that we're not taught about in fourth grade typically. So prayer, metaphysical laws, ceremony, energetic manipulation, all those things, psychic stuff, mediumship stuff, paranormal, all of that can fall into that category. And so, you guys are all going to be interested in different versions of that. But I feel like once we get to the end of the month, everybody of you is, or at least those of you that this relates to, which is going to be the majority, just about all of you are going to be really interested in looking at something that is what I would consider to be a secret of the universe. And really your curiosity is leading you down that path once we get to the end of the month, Aries. Not too surprising because fire signs can be pretty tapped in actually to energy. Water signs have that reputation as well, but fire signs also. So that's your month, Aries. Thank you so much for being here. Feel free to subscribe, share, like, comment. I do have the contest running again this month where everybody who puts a comment on any of my videos is entered into a drawing to win a prize, and you're going to have your choice of prizes. So that is still going on. I think I'm going to keep continuing that as long as I'm building up to 7 million subscribers. So thank you to those of you who are participating in that. Thank you to those of you who are here. And of course, thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings and Reiki sessions with me. I do appreciate all of you guys' support at every single level. Everyone have a fantastic month, and I'll see you back here the next time around. Peace out.